I'm Rena Romano, a survivor of incest and sexual assault, and this program is dedicated to other survivors to show you the endless positive possibilities of your potential after trauma. And this human person I have today, Jes Richardson. Oh my gosh, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I absolutely adore you. I love the sur-THRIVER message. And my tongue thrusting makes me do it. Say it funny. Sur-THRIVER!
Thriver, it is a tongue twister.
I just adore you. So thank you for having me on the show.
I adore you too. And I'm gonna full disclosure here. This is our second or third recording here because we were having internet problems. But I didn't want to let her go because she's so awesome. And your website is a superhuman
Superpowered humans. We're
that's
superheroes.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yay. And we're going to talk about her book today. But Jes is a sur-THRIVER of human trafficking and a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, what'd you say? We could check all the boxes?
All of them. I haven't found a box yet that I can't check.
Oh my goodness.
Would not be a contest.
Yeah, and I know you don't like labels either, and I don't really like labels, but I wanted to come up with the word sur-THRIVER because when people say don't let your past define you, I like to say, oh yes it does, because I look at the courage, strength, and tenacity it took for us to survive what we have survived. So please tell us a little bit about your story, Jes. You're just awesome. You guys are going to be blown away.
Yeah, I love that message because our trauma has perks. And if we just like heal and then put it in a box and put it away, then we don't get access to the golden stories, to the amazing things that we can do because of the trauma, the skills, the abundance, the joy, the freedom, because I felt such excruciating pain and torture, like physical body, mental, heart. When I came to the other side and started to find freedom and find joy, and I went on that journey, it meant that everything happened for me. And there were things that I could learn from it. And then I realized whose expectations am I really living up to? Like, why am I letting the world tell me who I am or what I should look like or how I should behave? When I went public with my story of being a survivor of domestic and international sex trafficking in 2009, I was an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. At the time, I was a mother of 4. I've had another one since, and I'm done. I cap out at 5. I proved my point. I am woman. Hear me roar. That last one was 10 pounds, 14 ounces.
Oh my goodness, girl.
And I had him at home. I had my last 4 at home and unmedicated. And I was like, yeah, I can do anything and I'm done now. I'm tapping out. But when I went public with my story, the number one response was that people would tip their head sideways. They'd go, huh, you look so normal. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to look like?
I got the same thing, but you act so normal. You seem so happy.
Right? Like if I walked in fishnets and thigh-high boots, you would be like, yeah, she used to be a hoe. And it's like, yeah, I did used to be a hoe, but I grew up and decided to do something different with my life. And that's okay. Like I didn't wear fishnets when I was a hoe. Like
I know it's weird how we get those images of what you're supposed to look like or act like or whatever. I know I got the same thing. I want you to hold your book up. I haven't read her book yet, but I love this title. Everything I know I learned from my pimp. And you said you were started being sexually abused at the age of 4 and then sex trafficked, but you have turned your life around, and that's why I wanted you on the show, to show other survivors what we can do after trauma. And you took your trauma and you turned it into your own business.
It's my mission.
Yeah. I mean, so now you're a life coach, a business coach. Should tell us about that a little bit.
Um, really, I am so grateful for my trauma because my trauma was into the sex industry. I was trafficked into an industry that is a commercial product. And so when I was the product, I was literally forced to learn sales, marketing, negotiation, customer service, like how to navigate difficult situations in business while my peers were smoking weed behind the gym, skipping school. And so that's a weird perk, but like I got a crash course in like real life business. And that was really powerful. And then my brain works a little different. I don't know, because my trauma started so young. I don't know if I am the way I am because of trauma, or I am the way I am because I think I'm probably an Aspie.
You're just brilliant. You are the way you are because you're just brilliant.
My love language is spreadsheets. Logic is my game. And I'm a different sort of human. And that's okay, because I don't have to live up to anyone's expectations. It's just.
And I like that. And I like that. And I like that you don't define yourself in any one box. I mean, you could check, like you said, I could check all the check marks and check all the boxes. But I'm so thrilled to be with you today, Jes, because you're just so full of joy and happiness. And I love what you said, because people have said that to me too when I shared my story. But you seem so normal. You seem too happy. And I wasn't that way, I guess. I mean, whatever normal is, but I wasn't happy for a long time. I was stuck in the anger and the pain of what happened. And until I started seeing other people who had the similar story, and they were able to, come out of their story. And well, look at Oprah. I mean, come on.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, so look at you. So share, when did you start seeing that? You have children. When did you start seeing I need to change my life?
It was one day. I was 21 years old, and a daughter that was my oldest is 19 to turn 20, but she's like right around a year old. And I was selling insurance, and I was working specifically with seniors, long-term care and annuities. Mm-hmm. And I had this realization that who I was right then was only going to be magnified by like 1,000 by the time I was 70. And because seniors have a tendency to either be really, really awesome people, like so fun, they have the best stories, they're great to listen to, or they're bitter, hateful, and angry, and no one wants to talk to them. Right. And so it's like those extremes come out the older you get, because really you just quit caring what people think. And that's the beauty of getting older. Right. I love it. But at 21 years old, I had this realization that I was just on a journey. And because my trauma was so extreme, that I really deep in my heart wanted to become a serial killer. That was something that I just wanted death. And to bullet point, I was sexually abused when I was young. My dad was murdered when I was 10. My grandmother was killed shortly thereafter. I ended up being raped into gangs, and then got away from the gangs, and then ended up being trafficked. Spent 14 months being trafficked, and then it was a sex worker who helped me escape. Ended up rebuilding her business in exchange for her helping me get away from my Pimp. And that was really my first business turnaround that I did. I was 18 years old and completely transforming the leadership and sales systems of an escort service. And for 3 years we did that. I got pregnant, ended up selling insurance because I didn't want my daughter living in this lifestyle. Ended up selling insurance, had this wake-up call. So I was like, just ready to kill everyone. And I read like every single serial killer book in the Seattle library, all of them, because I just wanted people dead. I wanted the whole world dead.
But it wasn't the whole world that hurt you, right? When did you realize that? When did you realize that? And when did you realize you really didn't want to be a serial killer?
It was that one moment
Yeah.
and I will, for the rest of my life, I was wearing black slacks, gray and black sweater, cold calling, talking to seniors, and it dawned on me that I was just going to become worse. I was going to get worse and worse the more it went on. And I crawled under my desk and I curled up in the fetal position and I cried like I have never cried in my life. Like snot bubbles, everything, yeah, that. I did that. Right. And while I was under there, I made a decision. And the decision was I wanted to be happy. I wanted to look myself in the mirror and say, Jes, I love you. I care for you. You're powerful. You're important. And you're loved. And I wanted to be able to sleep at night without night terrors. I wanted to be able to just feel good about myself and actually rest. And that was the beginning of that journey where nothing, like everything changed and yet nothing changed. All that happened was I selected a North Star, happiness, and I started marching towards it. Fortunately, I was in a sales environment, and in a commission-only sales environment, you have access to self-help information, you have sales information, and so much of my healing, that initial core healing, actually came from studying sales. How crazy is that? But it's because in order to do sales, you have to be in control of your behavior. You have to listen effectively. It's mindset. But yet mindset and healing are entirely different things. Mindset is like makeup, and trauma is like giant zits. It's like you never know. I know it's gross, but that's trauma's kind of
great analogy. I like it.
And they pop up when you don't want them. The day of the wedding, they pop up right before the photo shoot. They pop up at the most inopportune times, and you get this big grotesque zit, and you're like, how do I cover this? And you can put on all the makeup mindset you want, but when it's big enough, that sucker's going to cast a shadow.
Yep.
And there is nothing you can do. And that is that trigger, that rage, that anger, that depression, that whatever it is that you get triggered into, when that happens, that's just an indicator that there is something deeper, that we need to go past mindset and deeper into healing and understand what it is that we need to do to make that trigger go away. I'm
so glad you brought that up. That's such a good point, Jes. It really is. It really is. And I know. And here we are. We're on a roll here.
Oh, I'm running. I am jumping. I get sweaty constantly.
This is why I wanted Jes on the show, people, because she is awesome. She's so bubbly, has so much energy. So, once you had that realization, it's like a turning point, and it's like a slap in the head. I like to compare it to Moonstruck when Cher slaps you, snap out of it, Mm-hmm. And because we know that we want better and we deserve better. And somebody said to me once, you're not responsible for what happened to you as a child, but as an adult, you are completely 100% responsible for how your life is going to continue to go or change or whatever. Would you agree with that?
Ding, 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 ding. 1,000% yes.
Choices.
Because, no one has a perfect life. Mm-mm. No one has escaped life. And I couldn't say this before the lockdown, before COVID. Every single one of us have now experienced trauma.
Yep.
And we are now experiencing collective trauma. Now, see, my pain didn't go away because I made a decision. The pain didn't go away, and also the bad things in life didn't go away. In fact, as an adult, after I had achieved amazing success, running a consulting agency, having a nonprofit, and really doing the change the world things, I did all of that. And then I watched part of it go down in flames because of wanting to serve my clients better and removing judgment. There's a lot of judgment around the sex industry. There's a ton of stigma, and that's a whole nother ugly situation that is very real. But as we walked away from the business and the nonprofit and everything, and that's really a lot of what the book's about, is how to actually serve people with complex trauma. Specifically within the sex industry. But within 6 months of leaving LA, we moved to Austin, Texas. Our youngest son ended up getting bit by a bug and was paralyzed. We ended up with $3.2 million in medical bills, and he was sent home on hospice. We just said, no, we're going to do it different. We ended up healing him, and we moved to the Gulf Coast, like all the way, because salt water and sand has a way. Salt water and sand soothes.
It's healing.
Salt. Yes. So we moved to the Gulf Coast. 9 months later, Hurricane Harvey in 2017 destroyed the entire town that we were living in. We ended up in tents as a family of 7. And so just because you make good choices in your head, just because you make good business choices, you don't even have to make a bad choice for a hurricane. I spent 18 months going, what in my mindset caused the hurricane? How did I control the weather? Like, what happened? Why did we lose everything 3 times in 3 years and 2 months? How did that happen? How did I manifest that? What did I do?
We get stuck in the why me. What the heck is going on now?
Exactly.
How did you come out of that? How did you come out of it?
We spent 18 months living in tents, literal tents. And this was, my husband and I have now been married for 16 years. We have 5 kids. Mm-hmm. But at the time we were in an RV because the RV actually really helped us with our son because of medical bills and being able to just live on one income comfortably and really just focus on keeping him alive. Because when you have a 4-year-old on hospice, like when your child's facing certain death, you do everything to try to make it better. And we did. But Reed and I did the only thing we knew how to do because there weren't a lot of jobs left. Like we lost 80% of the town. We were in Rockport, Texas. Harvey hit first and then came out and then hit Houston. We were living in the small town that it hit first. So the eye of the storm literally sat over our town for 13 hours.
Holy cow.
It was insane. And we evacuated back to the place that he was sick in. So while we were evacuated, he was getting more and more sick. So we had to go back to the coast as quick as possible. And we did 3 days after the storm. And we didn't have like water or power for 7 weeks. So we ended up having amazing people who let us stay in their condo because we were denied by FEMA, denied by Red Cross, and because we had a $7,000 insurance policy on that RV. And so we were just stuck in this horrible situation. And Reed and I did the only thing we knew how to do. We started a business. And we took all the wood that was, people's entire houses are in the street. We started making furniture. And then we started live streaming because we both are entertainers. And so we actually we quit counting at 162 shows. We did 162 shows at minimum from a tent. And we became like the celebrities of the community because we just wanted to bring people joy. We wanted people to have hope and overcome. And yet we were both very tormented because we weren't able to provide, it's really hard. Reed is an amazing salesperson too. He sold entire patio sets to people who didn't even have houses.
Reed, go Reed.
That is a feat in and of itself. But as we were doing this, we were both very suicidal. We hated each other because we were just bitter. And it's like, if you can't be happy at the beach, you can't be happy anywhere. We swam with the dolphins every single evening because that's the best way to rinse off sawdust. And yet we hated everything and we hated our life. And we were so isolated. I ended up calling the suicide hotline 3 different times. And I just said, I have spent, at the time, it was 18 years in the mental health industry. I am not actively planning suicide right now, but I know that if I don't talk to someone immediately, it will progress to that. So can I please just talk to you for an hour and get this out? And all 3 times I had the best person who just listened to me. And That was throughout the summer of 18. Christmas Eve of 2018, our furnace went out. So we were in a moldy RV and tents, and we had no heat. It was cold. So when it gets cold on the Gulf Coast and you're used to really hot
It's cold on the water. Yeah.
Right. And so we were cold. We had nothing for Christmas. We were eating beans and rice, and we had nothing. And I just was done. I said to Reed, I said, if I'm going to be broke and hungry, I am not going to be exhausted, because we were killing ourselves working. And I went to bed. And I said, I am not getting out of bed unless it brings me joy or makes me money. Period. The end. And for 2 months, I laid in bed. And I got up to cook more beans and rice because we didn't even have a kitchen. So I was literally cooking over a hole in the ground with a big Dutch oven.
Wow.
And I was just done. I gave him all the bills. I gave him everything. And I was like, I'm out. Good luck. And our journey since then has been so wild, because while I was laying in bed, I just started feeding my brain with all the stuff that I had learned 20 years prior. And I actually went to the curriculums that I wrote, because I wrote healing curriculums. I co-wrote the program that reformed foster care for the state of Connecticut. So I had all these curriculums.
Right.
I literally, when I carried this box around that was my brain, I pulled my brain out of all, I'm 41, so I print stuff, and I like paper. And
that's a good thing. And
right.
Isn't it amazing that you had all the things to heal yourself? But it was boxed
there.
Up. I mean,
right. It was literally in a box.
It was literally boxed up, but you had all the tools there to make you happy, to help you on this journey. I want to ask you.
And it worked.
And it worked.
And
so you pull the box out, gifts come in all sizes, right?
Right.
And your gift, you had already given it to yourself.
Right. But I couldn't see it because I was in so much trauma again. And
I get that. Oh, I get that.
And that's when I look at this pandemic that we're having right now, I'm like, our trauma is actually what gives us the strength to overcome the current issues right now. It's whatever we have survived, regardless of what title or label it is, that is what gives us the wisdom, the intuition, the confidence to say, you know what, I am going to rise regardless of what I've experienced. What ended up happening then was I saw on Facebook a last chance. If you haven't received any help because of the hurricane, come in and bring your stuff. And I'm very organized. I had one thing with all of our financial documents, brought it in, and I'll never forget sitting there just like in my chair, curled up, the deepest shame, hating myself, hating everything about me, just saying, I just want a normal toilet, please, maybe a kitchen, please. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And this one lady said, I had been saying in my head that it already exists for me. And she, at my first interviews, just said, Jes, your new RV already exists for you, and it's this one. We're just going to get it. And we ended up, it was a crazy journey. We ended up living in a church for 6 weeks. It was a really horrific, bad experience, but we ended up with a brand new RV out of it.
Wow.
So from the time I went to bed until we were living in a brand new RV and moving to a different city, because part of the problem was we were in a small town. We ended up moving to New Orleans. It was 6 months. By July, we went to New Orleans, and my husband started gigging. We both got normal jobs, because living in an RV, you don't need a lot of income. We're like,
There's not a lot of overhead there, right?
Exactly. So we answered 2 questions. We said, for this 6 months, we're going to not start any businesses. We're not going to do anything. We're going to play, heal, have fun, and relax, and learn how to be a family again. And
money.
Just to make the money, just to live comfortably, to be able to go play. Like, we weren't trying to get rich. We were just trying to rest and heal without raw, real survival.
And you know what? That's important to make a note of, to heal. Just take time to rest. Self-care is not selfish. And we
Right.
need it, and we can't help others until we help ourselves.
In fact,
So
we have to be selfish. I quite teach selfishness. We have had
it's okay
all
to
of
be
this.
selfish.
We need to be, because you can't take care of anyone else until you are taken care of. And you know what? You will
Absolutely.
take care of everyone else better when you are
Absolutely.
taken care of. So yeah,
Be selfish. So that's our motto today. Be selfish. Be selfish.
Absolutely.
I
And
want, I haven't read your book yet, and I love the title of your book. Yeah, hold that up again for me. So, yeah.
there we are.
So,
Everything I know, I learned
everything
from.
I know, I learned from my pimp. And I think that is so awesome. And you learned a lot of sales and marketing, and you learned also that you did want to be happy, and that you were in control of those choices, correct? So,
Yes and no. That's the thing, is that our minds are very, very powerful.
yep.
And like when I was trafficked, I did not have the freedom to leave.
Right.
I did not have the ability to just walk away. It took a couple months of really strategic planning on my part, leaving absolutely zero evidence, to be able to get away from him. And that it was not a simple journey. And at the same time, the reason he got me was because I actually have to quote a pimp. Um, it is being a pimp is about finding what a hoe needs and then exploiting it.
And then exploiting it. And that's how they control you.
Right, but the thing is that just like Hitler, most of what they say is correct. It's the little twist, it's the nuance, it's that one little thing that says, yeah, that's it, I'm going to use that. But my pimp did something that no one else in my life had done prior. He listened to me.
Oh, wow.
And he listened to me, and then he exploited that.
Ah.
And so
Gotcha.
that was something that, as I went on my healing journey, I made it such a point to really hear people, really listen, and then not exploit it, because it's not hard to not exploit people, but
I
it is
know
hard
that.
to really listen.
Oh my goodness. You know what? It's been so much fun having you here today. I talked to you a while back, and I'm like, she's going to be awesome. You've had a lot of trauma. And yeah, a lot of us have had trauma, and we don't know. A lot of people don't even realize they're having trauma.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to keep yourself on a positive path, or, to keep joy in your life, to keep happiness? What is something you could share with the audience that helps you?
You know what? I'm going to give you one of my teachings real quick, because it's super
Sure.
simple, and it's something I've been working on and have been teaching for now 17, 18 years. And it's really simple. You're a tree. I'm a tree. Look at us. We're all trees. We're a tree. Our limbs and fruit are our behaviors, all of them. That is what we do. Our trunk, our core, are our feelings and experiences. Our roots are our deep beliefs. They are the things that existed before we did. They are the generational cycles. They're the things that you don't know because you don't know. And so many times in healing, in life, first, we don't know how to self-identify. And so that's where the tree analogy comes in. But then we look at our behaviors, our fruit, our limb issues, and we trim the tree. Well, what happens when you prune a tree? It goes dormant for a little while, and then it grows back with the same fruit. And so that's why we have this thing called the relapse. That's why we go back to things, because if you trim a tree without restoring the roots, the same fruits are going to come back over and over again. And so you can go the other direction and just forget about behavior modification and go straight to the roots, and then eventually over time the dead limbs will fall off. And that works. That was actually how I lost weight. I lost weight over a period of 3 years at 0.3 pounds per week. I just made better choices, little bits over time. And so it's really a harm reduction model. No shame, absolutely no shame. Love yourself,
Good for
be
you.
selfish, work forward. But if you are in a situation where everything sucks, like we were when living in tents going, I don't know what to do, you trim the tree and restore the roots at the same time. And when you do that, what happens is you get radical life change very, very quickly, because it has now been, what is that, 21 months since I had that Christmas.
Right.
And both my husband and I, we are running a business. We have masterminds. I do turnarounds with business. We help people with trauma. We run life school. I published my book, and we are having the time of our life. We are having more fun than we have ever really had, because one, we're not living up to anyone's expectations. Two, the two questions we asked ourselves when we were living in New Orleans, trying to just rest, we said, we're designing our life. What do we want it to look like? Anything we want, what do we want? And then who exactly do we want to serve? Like how? No, don't make a plan, just who.
And did you write any of this out, or did you just talk it out, between the two of you and then come up with a plan? I mean,
we didn't really have a plan, because here's one of the things that I've learned about business. We're going to jump into that for a second. With entrepreneurship, you don't, especially when you have a bunch of experience.
Right.
Like, I didn't know exactly who I wanted to serve, because I'm good at a lot of things. Like, my expertise is really within healing, trauma, recovery, and then business restructure. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I literally we started getting clients and serving them, but not too many, like just doing one-on-one work and getting amazing results. Over the last 9 months, we have had clients for one-on-one coaching in probably 12 different niches.
Wow.
And so, like, it doesn't matter whether you are having marriage problems or eating disorders or like self-harm, like we've been able to do it all. But it was like, okay, so we're helping them and we're really serving them, but are we living to our fullest potential? And so as we did it, we served every client, and still are serving clients that to our greatest potential, and see radical lives change, but then going, is this what we're really meant to do? I'm 41. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like,
well, it changes, right? I'm 64 and I still haven't grown up. So it changes every week, every month. And so that's really a key point, that we may want or may come up with a plan, but life will say, Mom, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And
so it's allowing yourself to ebb and flow with those things. So like, we're just honest with our clients. We're honest in our marketing. And it's like, well, if you want results, we get results fast. Like we have, in the last 9 months, it takes approximately 3 months to radically change a life. And we don't do it. They have to do it, but we just give them the tools.
The work.
Right. But I am not, so many coaches are so like whitewashed. They don't know how to say the hard things, that it's like, wow, we need to look at this. We need to look at the behavior. We need to look at what you're doing. Let's look at the roots. Let's go deep. And because of that, we get really great results really fast. And we keep adapting and changing and growing. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter within business. So if someone is starting a business or doing a business because of COVID, and they're like, I don't know what to do. So many people get stuck saying, I don't know what I'm good at, and I don't know who I'm going to serve. You know what? You don't have to. Just serve some people. Don't get too many.
Go do it.
Go do it. And then ask yourself, am I doing what I really love? And what are the results?
And you can adjust along the way. I mean, that's what I've been doing. I've been adjusting. I teach Zoom classes now. I teach people how to Zoom. I didn't know how to use Zoom before COVID, really. So now I'm teaching it, as well as being a speaking coach and now a podcaster. I've had so much fun having you on here. I could talk all day long with you. But
goal was to help people understand what trauma, like what trafficking looks like, and then how to serve, because I ran a nonprofit for a number of years.
good for you.
But then here's something fun that we did because of COVID, because shipping times are really long right now.
Yes.
So that has been a huge, huge problem. And I was like, I want the book in people's hands. So our order bump, if you're in internet marketing, or the upgrade, you get one option for an upgrade, and it's $37. You get the signed physical copy that takes about 6 weeks to show up. I ship it myself because I sign it for you.
Right.
You get the video book.
Wow.
When have you ever heard of a video book?
Tell me about the video book.
Okay, so it was
wrap up.
so wild, because I was like, if I have to do an audio recording, why don't you just turn the camera on? And so
that's a great idea.
It's literally,
is it like just, reading? So,
I sat in a chair and read the book. It's 8.5 hours.
I'm going to do that.
It is, so you get and you also get some of our life school classes. You get behind the scenes interviews. It is a huge package that is in total $44, but it is probably about 20 hours worth of content. And it's really my life journey into and out of helping people with severe complex trauma, and then how to just do better, and that healing is attainable for all of us. So that's the basics. Super and see what we do. And really, we just have a blast. Life is too short to not just live free and with great joy.
It doesn't mean that we're not going through those trials and tribulations. All of us are dealing with this COVID stuff too right now. But if you need someone, reach out, talk to someone, contact Jes, contact me, my program. I'm redoing my whole online program too. I'm going to give it a whole new name. It's cool. I'm going to have to check it out. So thanks for being here today. And
thank you.
And I'm so happy to meet you and Reed. You guys are awesome. I mean, check them out because they are so much fun and so much energy. And remember that there is an endless positive possibility to your potential after trauma. And here's proof right there. So until next time, sur-THRIVER, I wish you peace, love, and ciao for now. And that's a wrap.
Thank you. Oh,
woo!
So much fun. Look at us. We did it.
We did it.